The gift of freedom is yours by right, but the home we seek resides not in some distant land. It's in us!
Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my theological analysis for 2004's King Arthur. I enjoyed this movie when I saw it in college. That was the first time I saw it, and I enjoyed it again watching it now as an adult. In fact, I think I enjoyed it a whole lot better now because there was a whole picture in this movie that stood out to me and has stuck with me since watching it for this, that it's just, it was an amazing picture, the way they painted this and they portrayed this. Because I'm looking at the characters of King Arthur himself, and I'm looking at Lancelot. Now, Lancelot was a far more cynical character in this one. Now, he was still a good dude. When I say cynical, I don't mean he was a bad dude. I just meant he kind of had a little bit of cynicalness because of where his heart was focused. His heart was focused on the brokenness of the system. He's taken away from his family when he's a kid. He's supposed to serve in Rome for 15 years as a soldier, and after that, he's supposed to get the certificate that says he's a free man, and he can go all about Rome and live a free life. So he's served his 15 years, he's anxious to get back to his family, and what happens? The bishop withholds their freedom because they're the best knights in the land, so they need to go north of the wall into the wildlands to bring this family back because, you know what, they're just gonna let the Saxons come in and take Britain. So all the fighting that they've done and fought for is kind of in vain now. So his eye is kind of on the brokenness of that system. Now, it's one thing to acknowledge something is broken. It's another thing to let that brokenness consume you and get in, which is kind of where Lancelot's at. Of course, we then move on. They go north of the wall. They get to this family's house, and people are chained up and enslaved and punished for the most insane things. And then on top of it, they find a sealed-off dungeon where inside is like some priests or monks or something, but they've been taking these pagans and these sinners, starving them and torturing them in the name of Jesus so that they will submit to Jesus. Now, when you look at these monks and these priests, you got to think that their heart is focused on the wrong thing. You had this one priest who thought this was a fantastic idea, and he thought he was so holy because he's willing to be sealed in this dungeon with them, to die with them in order that he might lead them in the right path. So in his mind, he was doing such a holy and righteous thing by torturing and starving these people until they finally just submitted. But the truth is, he had his eyes on the wrong thing. If he was to look at Jesus and to look at how Jesus dealt with sinners, do you know how Jesus did it? He ate with sinners and tax collectors. And it was a huge controversial thing in his day. He actually came and showed them love. He showed them his heart. He showed them who he really was. And because of that, they wanted to follow him. Now, his eyes, this priest's eyes, was not on Jesus or that example. His eyes were on the fact that Jesus says sin is bad. Did Jesus say sin was bad? Yeah. Yeah, he did. But his eyes was on the fact sin is bad. These guys are sinners. Bad. What do we do to bad people? We punish them. That's where his eyes were, and he missed the example of Jesus altogether and went for this one thing and went nuts. I mean, it's nuts what they were doing down there, man. And of course, there's Lancelot to see it. There's Lancelot there seeing this broken example. And what is that a picture of for Lancelot? That's a picture of Jesus. This torture and this craziness became a picture to Lancelot of who Jesus was, which is not true. And so Lancelot turns to Arthur and he's like, oh, is this how your God answers prayer? But the thing that I loved about King Arthur in this, King Arthur is another picture. King Arthur is a guy who believed in Rome because he believed and freedom. He believed men were born equal. He believed it with all of his heart, and that's why he had the round table. He believed all men were created equal and were born free. And so he sees the brokenness in the system, how they're manipulated on this mission. He sees this family and how they've enslaved and tortured people, and how Rome is not living up to this example of belief that he believed that Rome was trying to set in the world. All of this incredibly disillusioning things because Arthur believed in Rome. But the truth is, it wasn't just Rome he believed in. He believed all men were born equal and born free. That was the true belief of his heart. That's where he kept his eyes. So he recognized the brokenness of the system. He didn't hide from it. He knew that that system was broken, but he had his eyes on the truth. and that propelled him forward to stand up against the Saxons, deliver Britain, and become the King Arthur of legend. His men were willing to follow him to the death, including Lancelot. Even with all Lancelot, some cynicalness there and things like that, Lancelot recognized the character of Arthur and believed in it because he believed in that man. So to me, the ultimate picture I get out of this movie is the importance of where your eyes are. People are not perfect. Christians, churches, institutions will say and do things that hurt because they are also imperfect. They don't always have their focus where it ought to be. And I've seen a lot of people leave the church and walk away from Christianity because somebody was a hypocrite, because somebody said the wrong thing, and somebody said and did something hurtful. And that now becomes the picture of who Jesus is. If his followers and representatives are this hypocritical and are this way, then, I mean, it's the only picture of this God that we have. But the truth is, if we could just get our focus off the imperfections and failings of people, the failings of institutions, and look at who Jesus really is, that is gonna make all the difference in the world, because Jesus is the type who comes to where we are and shows us who he really is. And I'm telling you what, man, seeing who he really is makes me want to follow him no matter what other people are doing left and right. Do I recognize the brokenness in the world and things like that? Of course I do. Do I recognize some of the brokenness in Christianity? Of course I do. But my eyes and focus are on Jesus, and it's him I believe in, and it's him I follow. What did you think when you saw King Arthur? What kind of things really stick out to you? Let me know in the comments. While you're there, hit that subscribe button, and next to the subscribe button is that little bell. Click the bell, that way you're notified the moment I drop new videos. Like and share this video, and check out the other awesome movie reviews, trailer reactions, and theological analysis, reading way too much intos, that I have here on this channel. I'm Durbin. Thank you for checking out Durbania.